Today, we're talking about something you literally hold in your hands every single time you drive. But honestly, you probably rarely even think about it. We're talking about your vehicle's steering column. Now, we usually just picture this simple metal stick connecting the steering wheel down to the tires, right? But it is so much more than that. It's actually a highly complex, absolutely critical safety mechanism. We're going to break down exactly what happens when this vital system starts to, well, break down. Because getting ahead of these issues with a bit of early detection, it isn't just about saving you money on expensive repairs. It's absolutely crucial for keeping you safe. So, let me ask you this. Is your steering wheel trying to tell you something? I mean, have you ever felt a strange clunk when you're just casually turning into a parking spot? Or maybe a mysterious wobble at highway speeds? What about a weird, vague looseness? Kind of like you're turning the wheel, but the car is taking a split second to actually catch up. Well, I'm here to tell you those aren't just quirks of an aging car, they're symptoms. And today, we're going on a bit of a diagnostic journey to translate those weird feelings and noises into mechanical reality. Section 1. Beyond the steering wheel. Okay, so to really understand the symptoms, we've got to pull back the covers and examine the anatomy of what is essentially your vehicle's nerve center. Think of the steering column like your car's ultimate communication highway. Yes, its main job is to transfer that rotational input and torque from your hands all the way down to the steering gear, but just look at what else it does. It houses the upper and lower shafts, which are connected by these things called U-joints. It contains the bearings and the locking cams for your tilt and telescope adjustments. It entirely encases your ignition lock cylinder. It routes a ton of critical wiring. And this is a big one. It features a collapsible energy-absorbing section. That section is literally designed to save your life in a crash by crumpling inward rather than acting like some medieval jousting spear aimed right at your chest. Now, right behind the steering wheel sits this sneaky little component you've probably never seen. It's called the clock spring. Basically, it's a rotary electrical connector hidden completely inside the housing. It literally has a spool of wire that winds and unwinds as you turn the wheel. So why does this matter? Well, because it maintains a continuous electrical connection to your airbag, your horn, and your cruise control buttons, no matter how many times you spin that wheel back and forth. When this hidden little guy fails, you are going to see some very specific, very confusing electrical symptoms. Moving on to Section 2, the warning signs and core suspects. So what actually happens when these core components start wearing out? The first, and honestly the most critical warning sign, comes down to just a single number, 2. Specifically, 2 inches. This is what mechanics call the 2 inches of free play rule. Basically, if you can rotate your steering wheel more than 2 inches before your tires actually start to respond, you've got a major problem. That sloppy, loose, completely disconnected feeling almost always points straight to worn-out universal joints, failing plastic column bushings, or wear on the intermediate shaft splines. And just a quick side note, that sloppy feeling right up high in the wheel is usually internal column wear. Don't confuse it with bad tie rod ends or worn wheel bearings down by the actual wheels. The whole trick here is matching what you feel or what you hear to the actual mechanics. Let's walk through this sort of symptom map together. If you're hearing a clunking or knocking, especially at really low speeds or when you turn the wheel all the way to full lock, the probable culprits are worn U-joints or a failing intermediate shaft coupler. Now, if you feel a wobble or vibration that feels like it's coming from inside the steering wheel itself rather than up from the road tires, that points to internal column bearing wear. If your wheel just suddenly drops or slides forward when you push on it, yeah, your tilt or telescope locking cam is worn out. And if you hear a metal-on-metal grinding sound when you turn, that's a dead giveaway of failing bearings or heavily damaged internal bushings. And this perfectly illustrates how column wear shows up in 2 completely different ways. On one hand, you've got your mechanical failures. We're talking steering binding, excessive free play, physical clunking, or a steering wheel that just sits crooked even when your tires are perfectly straight. Keep in mind, this kind of mechanical column slip is a totally different beast from a simple wheel alignment issue. Then, on the other hand, you have electrical failures originating from the exact same column. Think a dead horn, turn signals, or wipers that just do whatever they want, or an ignition key that gets stuck and refuses to turn. It's wild that both sets of completely different symptoms come from the exact same housing. But out of all those electrical symptoms, I need to highlight the absolute most critical one. Never, ever, and I mean literally never, ignore an illuminated airbag warning light on your dashboard. If that light pops on, it very frequently means there's a fault in that clock spring circuit we were just talking about. If the clock spring is damaged, your airbag might not deploy in a collision. It completely compromises your vehicle's crash safety systems, and you absolutely need to get it professionally inspected immediately. Section 3, the diagnostic toolkit. Okay, so what can you actually do if you suspect something is wrong? Let's go over a super practical, safe way to test your column right in your own driveway. It's basically a 4-step clinical diagnostic checklist. Step 1, always park your car on level ground and make sure those wheels are perfectly straight. Step 2, without even turning the wheels, just grip the steering wheel firmly and try rocking it up, down, left, and right. Any sort of clunk or looseness here, boom, that points straight to U-joint or bushing wear. Step 3, slowly turn the wheel lock to lock, all the way left, then all the way right, and listen really closely for any scraping or grinding. And finally, step 4, adjust your tilt and telescope lever, lock it firmly back into place, and push hard on the wheel. It should hold perfectly solid with absolutely zero movement. Now, while you're doing that lock-to-lock test from step 3, keep this little technical spec in your back pocket. A healthy clock spring is designed to allow roughly 2.5 to 3 full turns from lock to lock. If somebody installed an aftermarket steering wheel incorrectly, or if the column got spun around while it was disconnected from the steering rack, that clock spring could easily snap the second you reach full rotation. Here's another really grounded spec for you. 18. That refers to 18 to 35 Newton meters, which is the standard torque range for steering column mounting bolts. You know, sometimes a terrifying knocking sound isn't actually a complex internal failure at all. Sometimes it literally just means the bolts securing the entire column to the dashboard frame have rattled loose over time. Always check your specific manufacturer specs, of course, but just tightening up those loose mounting points can occasionally be an instant magic fix for a noisy wheel. Section 4. The verdict: repair, replace, and safety. This brings us to the final phase. Why do these failures even happen in the first place? Let's do a quick rundown of what causes a steering column to get sick. Often, it's just natural age and mileage putting wear and tear on those U-joints and bearings. But listen, you can actually practice some preventative maintenance just by being mindful of how you treat it. For example, and I see this all the time, using the steering wheel as a literal handle to hoist yourself up into a lifted truck, yeah, that puts massive, damaging force on the delicate tilt mechanisms. Don't do that. Aside from that, water intrusion can cause severe rust on the intermediate shaft splines. Past accidents might have secretly compressed those critical collapsible sections. And, like we touched on, botched aftermarket steering wheel installs are absolutely notorious for destroying clock springs. When it comes to actually fixing it, you're usually looking at a fork in the road. Minor component repair is totally a thing. A mechanic can often get in there and just replace some worn plastic bushings, swap out a busted clock spring, or put in a new ignition lock cylinder without scrapping the whole system. But if you're dealing with internal upper and lower bearing failure, severe U-joint wear that just isn't serviceable, or if those collapsible crash sections have been compromised in any way, safety dictates a full, complete column replacement. At that point, you're essentially swapping out the entire black box. Let's do a really quick, hard recap of the absolute red flags you need to get to a professional mechanic immediately if your steering free play exceeds 2 inches, or if your tilt wheel drops out of nowhere while you're holding it. If that airbag warning light comes on or your horn just dies, your safety systems are definitely compromised. And this goes without saying, but if your steering feels completely disconnected, sloppy, or starts binding up, do not drive that vehicle, seriously. Ignoring these isn't just about putting up with an annoying comfort issue. A failed ignition lock can cause your car not to start, or way worse, it could cause an unexpected engine shutoff and a total loss of steering control while you're flying down the highway. No way. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly vital question. Will your steering column protect you or fail you when you need it the absolute most? Your steering column is the literal, physical connection between you and the road. It houses the airbag that saves your life, the locking mechanism that secures your car, and the joints that dictate your precision and control. So next time you sit in the driver's seat, give that wheel a little test. Listen to it, feel it, because understanding these symptoms and catching them early is the ultimate key to maintaining your vehicle's safety net.